Well, okay. I think it's time for another personal update on the Kundalini awakening journey. So, this is in regards to post Bindu, definitely not stable, not nowhere near para Bindu, which I think is a stabilized version of Bindu. And Joan Harrigan, the author of Kundalini Vidya, and my teachers always talk about how the unloading gets even worse. Whew, are they not? They are not kidding. I mean, for some people, no unloading. For some, like it's almost unbearable. And I would have to say that the last couple of months have been almost unbearable. If I ever said that I was dark night of the soul before, I was mistaken. This has literally been dark night of the soul. It has been a matter of life and death, to be quite honest, and perhaps to be a little dramatic, but not dramatic at all. It's actually very literal, because it's been the breakdown of the soul, which is the higher version of your ego. So it is this has been about the death of the ego. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know if I feel like sharing this. Yeah, it's been extremely tough. And some of the things that have come up recently, I guess I could just share some of those. Um, I was dealing with this overwhelming sense of like, I have nothing to do. I don't have like, what is my purpose here? I can't seem to move forward with getting anything done, having inspiration, blah, blah, blah. Why can't I just sit my ass down and do something I want to do? Because what I would find myself doing is everything, like frenetic moving around, energy, cleaning house, going from one project to the other, just spinning out of control, not being able to sit down and focus on anything. And I thought, what is this? What is this repression? Right? That's my core wound, apparently. Um, and I heard somebody say, I mean, duh, I don't know why. Of course, I know that repression is just fear. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that's fear. And so one day I was like sick and tired of the body mind pushing me to, into all this activity. And I just finally said, I've had enough. My inner self said, enough is enough. It's time to face this. So I sat down and I just tuned into my body, and wow, could I feel every cell of my being vibrating in fear. And I was actually shaking. The body started to shake. The fear was overwhelming, but I was witnessing this, like the real me is witnessing all this in fascination, just witnessing the every cell in my being vibrating with fear. And I could feel that it was kind of I was letting it go by witnessing it or bringing it in. But what I also noticed, could feel, was that this fear was in my body, but that it needed or wasn't, I don't know what the right words are here, but that the brain needed to connect with it, or I don't know what the right words are. The brain needed to be involved in this, and it needed to know that it was going to be safe in feeling this. And so I had to involve the brain. And when I did that, allowed the fear to move up into the brain, it suddenly just, it was like the brain was so afraid of the fear that was being held in the body, um, it was separate from it and it needed to be connected to it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but whatever I intuitively did work. But also while I was focused, all my awareness was in the brain. What I could also feel was what this fear in the body was creating. Both sides of my, and everybody does, this is what creates the ego, like, I think, I don't know, and I'm probably using all the wrong words, but that I could feel both hemispheres of the brain, all the neural activity was like, instead of like functioning inwards, it was reaching outwards, seeking stimulus. Like it was like an addict. I could feel this in my brain, the static energy reaching out for stimulus, like just go back to your computer and get stimulus so we can release some dopamine or whatever. Go eat, go walk around, stimulus, so that so I can't feel this stillness. That was another thing that I discovered, that the brain is so used to stimulus, it doesn't know that the stillness that I'm resting in, witnessing all this, was safe. And so I also discovered that I had to bring that energy back and merge and visualize. I don't know if any of this is right, but it worked for me. It works for me. Bring all that neural activity and bring that together and merge the two halves of my brain and that neural activity. And I had to let it know that the me, stillness, quiet, silence, whatever you want to call it, is totally safe, that it's a good place to be. And as I brought those impulses together, everything seemed to calm down, like the whole body calmed way down. So that's an interesting little tidbit if that's something that you would like to play with, that the brain really has to be involved. And I know this isn't anything new. I believe Dr. Raja Selvin, uh, very popular and intuitive and advanced teacher in somatic trauma release. And he talks about how we have to involve the brain. So, but this occurred spontaneously. It was like the brain was reminding me, this is what you need to do. Or self was reminding me, we need to integrate the brain in all of this so that it knows and can then inform your nervous system afterwards, that where we want to go, what is most pleasurable and safe, is to always go inwards, to always have the impulse inwards. I don't know if that makes any sense. Anyway, that was one experience, just facing that fear. My God, at the very core of your being. And then another thing, so this is what I'm going to tell you next, has been the real like dark night of the soul. So I very often, almost every day, I sit in open-eyed meditation. It's basically what I do most of the day. It's just sit in silence, meditating with my eyes open. And recently I have been going even more in and out of these, I don't even know what, realization of truth or absolute reality. I don't know what you want to call it. And these realizations and experiences are not new to me, but somehow they were like stronger than ever. And one experience, I was just sitting, total meditation in silence, blissed out. And then suddenly, and this is not a new realization, but it was extremely like felt by the body. I could absolutely feel that I was not real. Now I know that. I'm quite aware and have realized no self, but this was like intense. And I could see the mind I'm witnessing the mind actually registering this, that I am not real. This whole thing, the whole psyche, not real, never has been in control. And what I could see was that I could see the mind witnessing that it was like the little image on a movie screen thinking itself was real. And it was realizing all I really am are pixelated things, and that it wasn't even the projector, that there was like nothing there. It was kind of like being in a Truman Show. I don't know if that's the right correspondence, but correlation. Anyway, it was shocking to the mind. And what I guess I have a feeling that this was a deathless death that they talk about. And I always open a book just to see if uh, what I think I'm experiencing is accurate. And I absolutely opened to the right page on the book that this lady was talking about her post Bindu experience, deathless death, like it was like the worst time. This is it, that my mind was experiencing its own death, or the ego, whatever you want to call it. The ego aspect of the mind was really, really, really getting that it wasn't real. And after that, I mean, I, the, the, the fear, the terror, I had terror running through my body. I was crying. Um, I felt like I was dying, and I was terrified, crying. I didn't know, I wanted to reach out to somebody, and I wanted to get out of my chair and do anything I could, but I had to sit there, and I had nobody I needed to reach out to somebody. I wish I had a teacher or somebody that I could just, call on the phone to settle me down, because I was a mess. So I think I really was witnessing or experiencing deathless death. Now, some psyches would take that experience and run with it with joy, like, yeah, life's a game. I'm not real. Let's just have some fun. But due to my own psyche, my own childhood development, and the way I came into this life, and I came into this life with the phrase, I don't want to be here. Get me the fuck out of here. That has been my mantra since my earliest childhood memory. I don't want to be here. So, and I suspect getting on the spiritual journey, my little ego mind knowing, like, get me out of here. This spiritual journey better give me some purpose or some meaning for my life, right? But what happened in my psyche is that it took, the mind is going to react, and the mind reacted very strongly against this ego death. You mean I'm not real? Oh, I'll make you believe I'm real. Anyway, what it started doing was, it just took me down into, well, what is the point of life? I mean, if there's no meaning to it and I'm not real, then there is no point in life. And it really, those thoughts were so strong, really took a hold of me for a couple of days, if not a week or two. I can't remember. Everything's all kind of garbled. And I was really getting into this depressed state, because my divine will was being overshadowed. Didn't have the strength enough to kind of battle it out with the mind will, the ego will. And I was letting it take control. And I was beginning to lose, got something in my eye, beginning to lose, gosh darn it, I hope I can talk, beginning to lose my will to live. And a word of warning, be very careful when this happens to you, because I kind of experienced a little mini death for like a second, and it was not pleasant. But I was just out in my backyard feeling like, oh, what is the point of all this? I'm literally kind of saying to myself, I'm losing the will to live. And suddenly it was as if whoever the puppeteer was, the strings on my puppet, the puppeteer let go of the strings, and my body started dropping. I could feel an energetic, like I was losing it, and I could feel sucking out of my life force. So my body felt like it was dropping. This all happened in an instant, and it scared me so much. Yeah, that kind of, like, you would think that that would wake me up, and but it scared me, and oh shit, I realized this, something's very serious going on here. But that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough to make me strengthen my inner will. Nope. The next day, I was still like, what is the point to all of this? I can't do this anymore. And I started getting that frenetic energy. Instead of like sitting down and being in my stillness and facing this and gathering all the strength of my true self will, I once again was starting that frenetic energy. I could see the brain was like, just do something, right? The mind is totally reacting to its eventual death or whatever it saw. And I said, okay, I'm just going to go work in the yard. Anyway, big mistake, because, when when the body begins hearing and sensing that you're losing your will to live, it begins the process of termination, and it will bring on illnesses, sudden illnesses, or bring on accidents. And that's exactly what happened. I tripped over something, and I had a massive fall. And anyway, I'm pretty banged up. Yeah, both legs, my whole left arm. It's unbelievable. Anyway, you don't need to know the details, but that fall, because I was falling and I was watching myself and feeling myself fall, and I could feel the ligaments, and I think even my muscle. I think I tore something in my muscle, my shoulder. I could feel it all happening, and it scared me. That was the thing the universe had to do to wake my ass up and say, do you want to live or not? Are you in this game or not? You can't let the ego win. And that's when I woke up and I said, enough is enough. And suddenly I guess my will to live was actually much stronger than my will to die, or the ego will. And I gathered up and I'm anyway, I gathered enough strength to say, no, no, no. And I'm not going to let this mind tell me that my life has no purpose, blah, blah, blah. And the next day I woke up, and I've never had this thought before, little baby steps for me. I got up and I go, oh, I woke up. That in itself means I have a purpose today. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but maybe it will be helpful to you. The mere fact that I wake up every day means the universe must have a purpose for me. And that little phrase alone has been keeping me going. And I know that's what's going to help build and strengthen my true self-will to keep going and help me battle this lifelong or incarnated groove in my subtle body that I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. So I don't know if any of that makes sense, made sense, but my God, I think that has been Sorry, my stomach is growling. Has truly been my dark night of the soul. I think it's when you, because the dark night of the soul, many people mistaken that when they're really just having mind and emotional stuff come up. But I think it's really when the mind witnesses its own falseness, experiences its own death, that begins the true breakdown of the soul, the true dark night and death of the soul. So it really boils down to a matter of life and death, and your trust in the universe that your life, your birth, your manifestation matters. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure I took forever to say all that, but I hope it's been valuable to you. So if you have battled with why am I here? What is the point of all this? Do I have a purpose? Yes, you do. The mere fact that you have woken up today means that the universe has a purpose for you. That could be sitting around doing nothing and contemplating, or it could be saying hello to somebody at the grocery store. But the mere fact that you have woken up from your true home to enter into this reality once again means that the universe has a purpose for you. Hey, until next time, bye-bye.